Hey everyone, this is Alex Milstein. I'm the editor-in-chief of Betting News Now, and this is Bedhead Now, bite-sized bits of betting industry knowledge. Today, my guest is Brandon Bain. He's co-founder of Bedhead Marketing, which does a lot of really awesome marketing and advertising work in our industry. So welcome to the show, Brandon.
Thank you very much. Love the compliment. That's very sweet of you.
Yeah, of course. So we're going to be talking today about marketing. What I had, brought up to you before the show was the idea that when door swings are down, when business is down, you still need to pump money into marketing. And so you have a unique perspective on that. Let me know what you think, Brandon.
Yeah, I think, it's counterintuitive. Generally speaking, the first thing that happens when revenue starts to drop is that advertising dollars start get, I guess cannibalized by other important things. And then we feel like seeing things from our side, it's the perfect time to advertise. And for many reasons. Number one is people are doing what I just described. They're pulling back their ad spends. So your ad spend will actually have more impact because there's more visibility of it. It starts to decrease the saturation, the number of people advertising. So you actually get seen more. So from a visibility standpoint, impact standpoint, you actually can improve by just staying strong or ramping up. The second reason, especially when it comes to things like pay-per-click, interest, search-based marketing, is that these are auction style campaigns. Cost is generally affected by how many people are bidding for particular key terms. So for example, on Google, if you have match a store near me, that might be a very expensive key term at the height of COVID. And now that a lot of people have pulled back their ad spend, the cost of that click might come down significantly. And it's a high intent keyword. That's a keyword where someone's potentially driving in their car looking for a match a store near me and they're ready to buy something. So if you've got a big percentage of competitors that are pulling back ad spend and not bidding on those more expensive key terms, you might want to recheck your key terms and actually ramp up your spend on those particular items or even overall, because for those two reasons, right? More visibility, more impact, and potentially lower cost. It's called the CAC, cost of acquisition of the client, lower ROAS. So yeah, you end up having a much better return on your ad spend if you start advertising during a time where you have decreased saturation in that ad environment.
Yeah, and I think it's important too to note that, some people think, oh, I need to go crazy with my advertising. And it's really not that you need to do so much more. It's that you need to be a little bit more strategic with it
Sure.
and, figure out where you're going to put those dollars and where it's really going to get you the most bang out of your buck, right?
100%. I have this conversation a lot with people when they're looking through their Shopify, for example, and they're trying to decide what's working, what's not working, where are people getting stuck, or where are people falling off, what's the abandoned cart rates look like. The feedback I get from them is we don't know where they're falling off, or we have concerns with the deal flow or whatever the storytelling is. And the first thing I ask is who's on the site? Because if your targeted advertising is going towards a very particular niche, let's say that you're the company Big Fig, right? Which is short for big figure. These are beds that are designed to be very durable for larger figure people. And you're advertising to that demographic specifically, then you know who's on your site and you know what kind of story you need to tell. But if you have this Big Fig product and you're advertising to everybody and a ballerina shows up on your site, well, it doesn't matter what your story is. That's not your ideal customer. You got to know who your ideal customer is, and you got to figure out where their watering hole is, where they like to play, where's the underserved market, and target them and be consistent with that targeting. So most people, the first step is identifying your avatar, your perfect prospect, and really understanding where they play, where they want to be served. These are things that we do when we do research analysis. We have some companies that we work with that do great jobs with this. They're looking at personics, they're looking at demographics, they're looking at how long has it been since they purchased a home. If they just purchased a home 6 months previously, they're still in a spend mode to outfit that house. And we know that new home purchase is a leading indicator for the mattress category in general. So there's all kinds of different little nuances that we can target, especially things like interests, how much equity you have in your home, things like that actually make a difference. But ultimately, it's making sure you identify your customer and then going and advertising to them where they are and then speaking the language they want to hear. And that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Now, I think one of the tougher things for those in the betting industry, retailers and manufacturers, is they have this job. Let's take a retailer, right? So you're a store owner and you have this position, but it's not just a store owner. You have to deal with marketing and logistics and advertising and all these things that you weren't necessarily trained on when you were brought into the business or anything like that. So what's some advice that you have for those who, struggle with meaningful marketing for their stores?
It's a good question. So, and this question is answered more easily if you're a single store owner with one shop, because you are the ad guy, you're the merchandiser, you're the sales guy, you're everything guy. So you don't have to run it across departments and make sure that everything's contiguous with what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
As the company starts to scale, then you got interdepartmental concerns and issues and challenges that you have to deal with, and making sure that the merchandise is being purchased and the promos are being applied and the ad messaging is, and all of that kind of syncs up together. But ultimately, yeah, I think you're right. It's really trying to find that. I continue to beat this drum, the riches are in the niches. If you can identify a target audience and create grassroots sort of campaigns to create some momentum, then you'd be surprised with the power of and the impact of your advertising spend. But I do highly recommend being intentional about the merchandising aspect of your marketing strategy. You have to have a product that differentiates your company, or a product mix that differentiates your company. A process is not generally enough. Oh, we have a great process, a proven process. That's great when they're in store for helping create conversion, but it's not great from what we've seen in terms of getting the door to swing. You have to have some sort of promotion or some sort of bigger, unique reason to get people to want to come in. Generally speaking, that's high value propositions, unique products, or product mix. So what I mean by product mix is you might be the only company in 300 miles that can compare two types of products that normally people don't get to lay on next to each other, right? They're
Yeah.
considering when I get to go try them out next to each other. Hey, that sounds good. So there's different reasons that you would focus on merchandising and value props, and ultimately it comes down to being consistent. This is the thing I think that most people fail at with marketing is, hey, it didn't work, we're stopping. Well, you gave it a month, bro. Good job. You have to give it enough time to give it a real true shot, and sort of it's okay to kind of course correct a little bit, but it's not okay to have stops and starts, because you never really get the true learning that's required to understand what works and what's not working in your business from a marketing standpoint.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now, how much time, I guess, would you advise somebody give to a campaign before they start rethinking it?
Yeah, I think that's a complicated question with a complicated answer, but in general, people say, what should my ad budget be? Well, that's also a complicated question with a
Yeah.
complicated answer. And we talk about, you can go to my website and check out ad spend, and it'll talk about, well, how long you've been in business and what are your margins like and how many people refer to you. The more people that refer, then you're getting a much bigger value out of each person that walks through your door. And then how often do they come back and buy? How saturated is your market? More competition means you got to spend more. And what are your goals? How aggressive are you trying to grow? If you're trying to be very aggressive and not spend more, then okay, well, what else are you doing to get the door swings? So just like that question, this question here about how much time should you give it really comes down to a tolerance issue. You might have one campaign and it's all you're doing. You might be less tolerant because it's your single source for driving leads to your business than if you have I don't know, 5 campaigns doing different things, where you have social media campaign, pay-per-clicks, you're doing print mailers, you're doing TV, you're doing all kinds of different channels, and you give them a little bit more time to create a little bit more, because you have different channels driving business. You're not depending on one channel. So I kind of say, use your best judgment with based on what you're doing. I don't like putting all my eggs in one basket either. So if you don't have a huge budget, it's more likely that you create smaller channels, smaller campaigns. But the bigger your budget, then the more you can kind of test and learn and devote those resources over different advertising opportunities.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the harder things for people to wrap their minds around with marketing is the results are not always instant. And a lot of people, especially in today's society, which I love the term microwave society, where everything needs to be done quickly, as quickly as possible. I
The
think that,
TikTokification of America.
yeah, exactly. I like that too. So yeah, I think, oh, that's very interesting. But a good lesson to pull from what you just said is everybody's strategy is going to be different. You have to tailor it really to what find your audience is going to need. So
Yep. And
great.
I would just add to that, Alex, you have to be mindful of who you're serving. So if you're serving a demographic of older people, maybe the 6 o'clock news is right. Maybe print mailers are right. Maybe door hangers are right. I don't dismiss any kind of advertising solution. It just has to make sense. So we're not like, we're an SEO company and all we do is pitch SEO. Like SEO might be a good strategy for you and it might not be, right? It might be like, hey, you need to return your results immediately. And SEO is more of a long-term strategy, right? So yes, you should do SEO, but not at the expense of driving door swings today. So this is all sort of, the answer is often a maddening, it depends. But the general principles are still applicable. You still need to know your audience. You still need to have a unique value proposition, merchandising. You need to have the ability to convert that customer when they're in store, whether that's a contiguous look and feel omni-channel. All the POP is representing everything that you're promoting. Your sales process is a lot tight, right? You've talked to Brent Batterman and now you have an amazing sales process. And then you have the ability to get referrals and reviews. Also, you have the ability to monitor and manage your ads. You can't just throw ads out there and say good luck and not know what the attribution looks like. You need to know when people are coming in, how do they find you? That way that you can allocate more resources towards that campaign. And if you need to pull resources away from a campaign that's not working, you can do that. But you can't do that if you're just doing what we call the pay and pray method. That doesn't work as well. You got to do your best to create attribution.
Yeah, yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense. Okay, awesome. Well, Brandon, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really appreciate your insights.
No, thanks, Alex. Appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. Well, you have a good day and we'll talk to you soon.